Pay attention to Kelsey Smith, 18 years old, browsing the aisles of Target in Overland Park, Kansas on a warm Saturday evening. She has less than 90 minutes left to live. Because Edwin Hall, 26 years old, a man with a secret darkness hidden behind an ordinary face, is watching her every move. On this day, Kelsey plans to buy a gift for her boyfriend and celebrate their 6-month anniversary. On this day, Edwin decides to take everything from her. This is the story of 4 days that changed one family forever and exposed pure evil caught on camera. Kelsey Marie Smith was not just another teenager. She was the kind of daughter who called when she was running 5 minutes late because she didn't want her parents to worry. She'd graduated from high school just 9 days earlier, ready to embrace the summer before college. Her boyfriend John had been by her side for half a year, and she wanted their anniversary to be special. On that Saturday evening in early June, she grabbed her keys and headed to the local Target store, expecting a quick 15-minute errand. Nothing more, just in and out. But the moment she walked through those automatic doors, she stepped into a nightmare that was already unfolding. Security cameras captured everything. The footage shows Kelsey entering the store around 7 o'clock that evening, casually dressed, moving through the aisles with the ease of someone who'd been there 1,000 times before. She found what she was looking for, paid at the register, and headed back toward the exit. At first glance, the video seems completely normal, just another teenager on another ordinary shopping trip. But investigators would soon discover something chilling hidden in those frames. Look closely at the footage. See that figure moving in the background? That's Edwin Hall. He's following her, watching, waiting. Edwin Hall looked like anyone else that day. On paper, he was a married man with a steady job, someone you might pass in the parking lot without a second thought. But beneath that surface lived something far more sinister. He'd driven to Target that evening with one purpose. As Kelsey shopped for wrapping paper and a gift, Edwin tracked her movements through the store, maintaining just enough distance to avoid suspicion. The surveillance system documented his every step, though nobody realized it at the time. When Kelsey left through those doors and walked toward her car, Edwin followed her into the parking lot. What happened next was pure evil. Back at home, Greg Smith checked his watch. His daughter should have been home by now. Greg was an off-duty police officer, trained to notice patterns, to sense when something wasn't right. At 7:30 that evening, Kelsey's boyfriend John arrived at the house for their anniversary date, but Kelsey still wasn't there. Half an hour passed. Then 45 minutes, Greg called her cell phone. No answer. He called again. Still nothing. For most parents, this might have seemed like typical teenage behavior, but Greg knew his daughter. Kelsey always called. Always. His wife Missy shared his growing concern. Their daughter was responsible, considerate, and punctual to a fault. After 30 minutes of silence, Greg's police instincts kicked in. He started calling nearby police departments, asking if there had been any accidents involving a vehicle matching Kelsey's description. This wasn't him reporting her missing yet. This was him being a cop, methodically checking every logical explanation before allowing himself to consider the darker possibilities. By 8 o'clock, the entire family headed to Target. Maybe her car had broken down in the parking lot. Maybe her phone had died. Maybe there was a simple explanation. But when they arrived, Kelsey's car was nowhere to be found. They circled the area, driving through neighboring parking lots and side streets, their anxiety building with each passing minute. Then, across the street in a shopping center parking lot, they spotted it. Kelsey's vehicle sat abandoned near the Macy's department store. The driver's side door was closed. The car looked undisturbed, but Kelsey was gone. Greg's training took over immediately. He ordered everyone to stay back from the vehicle. This could be a crime scene. He needed to preserve any evidence. The call went out to the Overland Park Police Department, and within minutes, investigators arrived. They began a methodical examination of the car, treating every surface, every item, every detail as a potential clue. Inside, they found Kelsey's purse sitting untouched. They found the wrapping paper she'd purchased. They found the gift she'd bought for John, still in its Target bag. But they didn't find any signs of a struggle inside the vehicle. Then someone noticed something odd. A piece of fabric appeared to be sticking out from the trunk. The investigators exchanged glances. Everyone present held their breath as forensic technicians approached the rear of the car. The trunk popped open with a mechanical click that seemed to echo across the parking lot. Greg's heart stopped. His wife gripped his arm. They hoped she was in there. They prayed she wasn't. When the trunk lid rose, It revealed only the spare tire and emergency kit. No Kelsey. For one brief moment, there was relief. Then reality set in. If she wasn't in the trunk, where was she? The Overland Park Police Department launched a full-scale missing persons investigation. Detectives immediately obtained the surveillance footage from Target, and what they saw confirmed their worst fears. The timestamp showed Kelsey entering the store at 7:03 that evening. She browsed for roughly 15 minutes, made her purchase, and exited at 7:19. But the cameras captured something else. A man had followed her through the store, maintaining a careful distance but never letting her out of his sight. The footage was grainy, the angles imperfect, but the pattern was unmistakable. This was no coincidence. This was stalking behavior. The parking lot cameras were less helpful. The lighting was poor, and the resolution made identification difficult. But investigators could see a figure approaching Kelsey's car moments after she reached it. They could see movement, though the specifics were unclear. Then, roughly 90 seconds later, Kelsey's vehicle pulled away with what appeared to be two people inside. The video quality was too poor to confirm identities or see through the windshield clearly, but one thing was certain. Someone had been waiting for her. Greg and Missy Smith knew they needed to act fast. Their daughter had been missing for less than 12 hours, but every second counted. They contacted local news stations, pushing Kelsey's story onto the airwaves. Her picture appeared on television screens across the Kansas City metro area. Volunteers organized search parties. Friends distributed flyers. The community rallied around the family, but deep down, everyone feared the worst. Investigators worked around the clock, following every possible lead. They canvassed the Target store, interviewing employees and customers who'd been there that evening. They examined traffic camera footage from surrounding intersections. They processed every inch of Kelsey's vehicle for fingerprints, DNA evidence, and any trace materials that might reveal what happened. Days passed with agonizing slowness. Greg couldn't eat. Missy couldn't sleep. They clung to hope while battling the terrible scenarios that kept playing in their minds. Then came the breakthrough investigators desperately needed. Analysis of the surveillance footage revealed something crucial. That grainy figure who'd followed Kelsey through the store had been picked up by another camera in the parking lot. The image showed a man walking away from the area where Kelsey's car had been parked, heading toward a blue pickup truck. The angle wasn't perfect, but investigators managed to capture a partial view of the vehicle's license plate. They ran that partial plate through the Department of Motor Vehicles database, filtering by blue pickup trucks registered in the Kansas City area. The search returned multiple possible matches, but one vehicle stood out: a blue Dodge Dakota, registered to a man named Edwin Hall. Detectives pulled Hall's driver's license photo and compared it to the surveillance images. The facial structure matched. The height matched. Even the clothing appeared to be the same. They'd found their suspect. Now they needed to find him before he realized the entire city was looking for him. Police released the surveillance images to local media outlets, asking the public for help identifying the man in the photos. The response was immediate. Within hours, the Overland Park Police Department received multiple phone calls from people who recognized Edwin Hall. One caller was a coworker. Another was a longtime friend. Both were absolutely certain of the identification. But when detectives arrived at Edwin's residence to question him, they discovered something alarming. Edwin and his wife appeared to be packing their vehicle, loading boxes and bags as if preparing to leave town. Officers approached Edwin Hall and placed him under arrest for questioning. He was taken to police headquarters where detectives began their interrogation. The questions came fast and direct. Did he know Kelsey Smith? Where had he been on Saturday evening? Why had he been at Target? Edwin's initial responses were predictable denials. He claimed he didn't recognize the name Kelsey Smith. He said he went to Target that evening to browse, but didn't remember seeing any particular person. When confronted with the surveillance footage showing him following her through the store, Edwin changed his story. Yes, he admitted, he had noticed Kelsey in the store. He said he found her attractive. He claimed he followed her because he admired her appearance, but insisted he never spoke to her, never approached her vehicle, and had no idea what happened to her after she left. The detectives weren't buying it. They had more evidence than Edwin realized. While he was being questioned, the forensics lab had been processing fingerprints recovered from Kelsey's vehicle. The results came back with a match. One of Edwin Hall's fingerprints was found on the seatbelt of Kelsey's car. Confronted with this physical evidence placing him inside the victim's vehicle, Edwin's carefully constructed lies began to crumble. His face changed. His demeanor shifted. After several minutes of silence, he finally admitted the truth. He had approached Kelsey in the parking lot. He was armed with a handgun. He forced her back into her own vehicle and ordered her to drive. According to his confession, he directed Kelsey away from the shopping center, taking back roads toward a more isolated area. The destination was Longview Lake, a wooded park about 20 minutes east of Target. Edwin's confession provided investigators with the location they needed, but not the outcome they'd hoped for. While the interrogation continued, police obtained Kelsey's cell phone records. By tracking which cell towers had connected with her phone on Saturday evening, technicians were able to pinpoint the approximate area where her phone had last been active. The location matched Edwin's confession, Longview Lake. Authorities immediately dispatched search teams to the park. It was now 4 days since Kelsey had disappeared. The area around Longview Lake covered hundreds of acres of dense woods, walking trails, and shoreline. Search and rescue teams spread out, moving methodically through the terrain. Detective Bob Miller coordinated the effort from Command Central, maintaining contact with team leaders as they covered grid after grid of wilderness. 45 minutes into the search, Detective Miller's radio crackled to life. The lead officer's voice came through, steady but heavy with emotion. They'd found Kelsey. But the news that followed shattered any remaining hope. She was not alive. Kelsey Smith had suffered a violent assault and been strangled to death. Her body had been left in a wooded area near the lake, hidden from view, but ultimately found through the combination of cell phone tracking technology and determined police work. The Smith family was at the end of their driveway when investigators arrived to deliver the news. Greg saw the expressions on the officers' faces and immediately knew his daughter was gone. Missy began screaming, "Not my Kels! Not my Kels!" Their worst nightmare had become reality. The vibrant 18-year-old who'd walked into Target 4 days earlier to buy an anniversary gift would never walk back home. She'd never start college. She'd never celebrate another birthday. Edwin Hall had taken everything from her in those final 90 minutes. Edwin Hall was formally charged in connection with Kelsey Smith's murder. Prosecutors initially pursued the death penalty, but Hall ultimately accepted a plea agreement. He pleaded guilty to capital murder and received a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. During his sentencing hearing, Hall admitted his actions and accepted responsibility, though his words offered little comfort to the devastated family he'd destroyed. Investigators later questioned Hall about other unsolved murders in the Midwest, concerned that Kelsey might not have been his first victim. Hall insisted this was his first time killing someone, but Detective Miller's instincts told him otherwise. The level of planning, the stalking behavior, the execution of the crime all suggested someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Whether Hall was telling the truth about previous victims may never be known with certainty. The key evidence that cracked the case came from those Target surveillance cameras. The footage that captured Edwin Hall following Kelsey through the store provided the critical lead investigators needed to identify him. The partial license plate visible in the parking lot footage narrowed the search. The fingerprint on the seatbelt confirmed physical contact. And the cell phone tower data led searchers directly to Longview Lake. Without these pieces of technology working together, the case might have remained unsolved for years. In the aftermath of Kelsey's murder, her family channeled their grief into advocacy. Greg and Missy Smith worked with legislators to pass Kelsey's law, requiring telecommunications companies to provide law enforcement with cell phone location data more quickly in missing person cases. The delays they'd experienced in obtaining Kelsey's phone records, those critical 4 days, had cost precious time. They wanted to ensure future families wouldn't face the same bureaucratic obstacles. Friends and family members remember Kelsey not for the way her life ended, but for the way she lived. She was known for her kindness, her reliability, and her genuine care for others. She wanted to be remembered for the way she made people feel, for the positive impact she had during her 18 years. Her boyfriend John still wishes he could text her one more time just to say he's sorry, to tell her how much she meant to him. The surveillance footage that captured Kelsey's final moments in Target has been viewed millions of times. It serves as a chilling reminder that evil can be lurking in the most ordinary places. A Saturday evening shopping trip, a crowded retail store, a well-lit parking lot. None of these common settings offered protection when a predator decided to strike. Kelsey Smith was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Edwin Hall was there waiting. The case demonstrates both the power and limitations of modern surveillance technology. The cameras captured crucial evidence that led to Hall's arrest and conviction. They documented his stalking behavior and provided prosecutors with undeniable proof of his intent. But tragically, those same cameras couldn't prevent the crime from happening. They couldn't alert anyone in real time that a young woman was being followed through the store. They couldn't stop Edwin Hall from approaching her in the parking lot. Technology recorded the evil, but it couldn't stop it. Kelsey Marie Smith died doing something countless people do every single day without incident. She went shopping, she bought a gift for someone she cared about, she walked to her car, planning to drive home and celebrate her anniversary. Instead, she encountered a monster who'd been watching and waiting for the right moment. Her murder serves as a sobering reminder that vigilance matters, that awareness of one's surroundings matters, and that evil doesn't always announce itself with warning signs. Today, Edwin Hall remains incarcerated, serving his life sentence without possibility of parole. Kelsey Smith's name lives on through the legislation passed in her honor, through the memories of those who loved her, and through the countless true crime discussions that examine how surveillance technology caught a killer. Her story is a tragedy that never should have happened, cut short by senseless violence in a Target parking lot on what should have been an ordinary summer evening. The Smith family continues to honor Kelsey's memory by living fully, by cherishing each moment, and by fighting to help other families facing similar nightmares. They want the world to remember Kelsey not as a victim, but as a vibrant young woman full of promise who had her entire future stolen by someone who chose evil over humanity. That's how she deserves to be remembered. That's the legacy that matters.